All right. So first and foremost, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ronnell Richards. I am a serial tech entrepreneur, business coach, and the host of Business and Bourbon. And I will be serving as your host this afternoon. However, I've got some stars. We got some stars for you guys today. Some folks that are really, I've got two ladies that are powerful. I know them both very well, and they're going to bring some tremendous knowledge. First and foremost, before we get this thing started, I want everyone to know that this is always about you. So while we have different things prepared that we want to talk about, we're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So please make sure that you're asking your questions, and we'll make sure that Cathryn and Kelsey answer those questions for you. And I'll hop in there every now and then and say a couple of words as well. So with that said, we have Kelsey Johnson with Smith.ai with us, and my good friend, Cathryn Valladares. I love pronouncing it like that. With Nextiva. How are you, ladies?
Fantastic.
Doing great.
Awesome. Okay, so without any further ado, I want to go ahead and hand over to Kelsey, and we'll get this thing kicked off.
Hi, well, thank you so much, Ronnell, for first of all being here and bringing your expertise and as much as you're bringing it in, and Cathryn, obviously, as well. What a wonderful panel to have to discuss this. This is something that I'm really excited about, just sort of, how to really sound like an enterprise business and how to therefore sell to enterprise businesses as a small business. This is something that's fairly new to small businesses. And I'm really, really excited to dive into this. Again, if you have anything specific that you want to ask us about, a pain point that you're having, something that you're trying to solve, we'll try to get to that as much as possible. I am Kelsey Johnson, as Ronnell said. I am the product marketing manager at Smith.ai. If you haven't heard of Smith.ai, we're a virtual receptionist and chat service for businesses. We can answer calls, chats, texts, Facebook messages, transfer calls and take messages, qualify and intake new leads, book and reschedule appointments, and much, much more on behalf of your business, no matter the size. And we actually, one of the things that we're really passionate about at Smith.ai is the tech behind the people. So we hire amazing people to answer these calls, but we create technology to enable them to really sound both in-house, to be useful, to sync with your systems already, to help you create a lead nurture funnel and to follow up with people, faster when you need to help schedule with them. And so I'm really, really excited to discuss this today. And I'm going to pass it over to Cathryn, who can talk a little bit about Nextiva and her own expertise, which is very extensive.
Wow, I guess I have big shoes to fill. I'm Cathryn Valladares. I am the Vice President of Enterprise Solutions at Nextiva. So I'm actually the right character for this conversation. As I said in my title, Enterprise Solutions. But the coolest thing that I'm ready to share with the group today is the ability to create enterprise solutions for small businesses. So I think one of the things that Nextiva has done extremely well, and again, part of my alliance to Nextiva is because of this reason, we've created a hosted communication system that is not only powerful and gives you the ability to be whoever you want to be in terms of your communication, but it also does it at a price point that isn't going to break the bank. So we all are cognizant of the fact that as small business owners, making decisions on technology solutions is a big task, right? And there's a lot of moving parts that go into that decision, but I'm happy to say that we have a solution that is tangible. It's awesome for me because this whole climate of where we are and how we do business today is completely different than it was 12 months ago. Let's all just be transparent. And because of that, it's given Nextiva a huge advantage in the marketplace. Why? Because now we have the ability to give enterprise services to every business of every size across every vertical that exists. So as we have our conversation today, Kelsey, I'm going to talk through all the different capabilities that Nextiva has. I'm going to talk about where communication starts, where it is now, and where it's going well into the future. But I also want to give some tidbits to the audience on ways that you can make your business better, your customer journey better, aligning with companies like Smith.ai and what Kelsey's bringing to the table, but also using technology to your advantage. Like Kelsey said, there's so much technology out there that can give you the power that some of you probably aren't even aware of. So I hope to have the opportunity to share that with each and every one of you on the call today. So thanks for joining.
Awesome. I think that we're all very excited. I will say that if you saw the thumbs up for me, that's because I get super excited when we're talking about enterprise level tech at the SMB level. And that's where let's face it, guys, we've got to start to step up. We got to step up our game. With the pandemic, just kind of poured a little gasoline on SMB in terms of adopting technology, and we've had to adopt some of this technology. But the cool thing about this is that a lot of this tech that Cathryn's going to talk about is technology that was too expensive for us in SMB years ago. It's too expensive and we couldn't get it. Now we can get it, and it's awesome, and we can really leverage it to generate better outcomes for our customers, to create additional revenue streams that you guys probably aren't even aware of today. There's so many cool and fun things that we can do. So again, as we get this thing started, I want to encourage you guys to please ask questions. Again, we have talking points, things we want to talk about, but we want to make sure that you're all getting what you want out of this. We've got some fantastic subject matter experts with us today who can answer any question you throw.
I'll just weigh in really quickly before I'm going to let Cathryn take it away. At Smith.ai, we really care about taking work off of your plate. That is what we're obsessed with. So we love the technology. We're Silicon Valley based. We enable our receptionists with technology, but what the value that we are looking to give you, not just through our own solution, but through the people that and the companies that we partner with, is to have you set up systems and use this technology and use AI in as much as you can to do less of that work that you don't like to do, so that you can provide true value to your clients, right? You can do what it is that you have a professional degree in or you are an expert in, and take off all of that admin work off of your plate, because it's not where your time is best spent.
Awesome. So I'm going to kind of just introduce communication as a thought to the audience, and we'll kind of take this journey together. So as we talk about how businesses communicate in the new norm, or in the new era that we're in, there's a lot of moving parts, but where it all starts is in the cloud. So I'm going to give just a super easy understanding of what cloud is, just so everybody has a good base to build this conversation off of. Because if you want to present as an enterprise business, you must be in the cloud. That's number one. And so what does communication look like in the cloud? Each and every one of you have one of these, I'm assuming. This is cloud technology. So what I like to use as an explanation for audiences like this is the iPhone. So in the iPhone world, you have a cellular device. On that device, you can pull things from the cloud, like pictures, movies, conversations, phone numbers, etc. But all of those things live in the cloud. So as an end user and a consumer of those services, I pull those down to my device every time I want to interact with the iCloud. Voice communication in business is no different. The beauty of going to the cloud, however, is that there is no limitation. So I can continue to add more and more feature functionality and things to my communication stack in the cloud. And that's really where I want this conversation to start. So as a business, if you are not using a cloud service as your primary focus for communication, that's going to be your first step. Getting into the cloud then gives you the ability to start leveraging some of this cool technology that even Kelsey's talking about, to make your customer journey better. So one of the things that has happened really dramatically in our current climate is, number one, the accessibility of communication. So none of us are in a brick and mortar situation anymore. Everyone is working from home. The truth is, most of us are working from anywhere, right? Whether that's in a hotel room, at an airport, on a beach, in our backyard, wherever it may be. And so one of the key factors of moving to the cloud is giving yourself that flexibility so that you can pull your phone to any device, anywhere, at any time, and represent your business. That's key number one. That gives you the flexibility that you need as a small business owner to be nimble, to be flexible, to be mobile, to be able to attend meetings, to have things happening in your personal life that don't impact your business because you're not stuck to a building with a hard wire and a hard phone. That's number one. The second piece to it is looking at communication as more than a phone system. So that's something that's totally new. Most businesses historically, I've got a number and it rings a phone and somebody answers, and that's how I do business. Well, I'm here to tell you that that has changed drastically over the last 12 months. Why? Because voice is actually taking a second seat to other forms of communication. People are texting more than they ever have before in the history of ever. We're doing things like we're doing right now. People are communicating via video and via webinars and via conferences like the one that we're on. In addition to that, people are really, really looking at social media different than they ever have before. So things like Facebook, LinkedIn, commentary that's made about your business, Yelp reviews, things like that are actually now becoming part of your holistic communication strategy as a business. So again, that's totally different. It's not how it used to be. And it's becoming more and more relevant and important every single day. So to bring it full circle, we have a solution. And we have a solution that is at a price point that is tangible and tolerable for businesses that are of every size, number one. Number two, that solution brings all of that communication together. So as a business owner, you can get your texts, your voicemails, your calls, your Facebook posts, your LinkedIn, everything can funnel into a single pane of glass so that you as a business owner can holistically understand the impact that your business has from all of these different channels that are out there, right? So not only does it give you that view, it gives you the ability to really hone in on your craft, but from the outside view, being a consumer, you look big. If you're taking text messages from me, guess what? You're competing with the Joneses. You are coming across as an organization that is in the now, that is with it the times, that is giving me the ability to interact as a consumer in the ways that I choose to do so. So that's number one. Number two, it's also, again, giving you the flexibility of letting your consumers interact with you the way they prefer to. So I'm going to throw out a couple of stats that may shock people. But there are tons of stats out there. And as business owners, I encourage you to take a look at some of this information. But let's start with this one. 9 out of 10 consumers prefer not to talk to a human. Wow. 9 out of 10 consumers. And this was a report that was done by Salesforce.com, one of the biggest SaaS solutions that exists. And if 9 out of 10 of their consumers are giving you that type of feedback, then you as a business owner absolutely have to entertain the thought of, wow, I need to give my business, my consumers another way to interact with me, because right now the only thing they can do is call me, right? So that's kind of one thought-provoking piece to the puzzle. In addition to that, I'll give you another stat. That is 66% of all consumers would prefer to communicate via SMS than voice. I don't know about you guys, but I have the awesome pleasure of being the mother of young adults. And my 22-year-old will text me from the same room before she will speak to me, even though we are literally in the same room together. So again, if you're preparing yourself for the next generation of consumers, the truth is they have expectations, and their expectations are that they can interact with you via any means necessary, 24/7, 365. So again, we're talking about opening up different types of communication, creating efficiencies within that communication. Kelsey and team come into play here because they can be your voice in your hands when you don't have the ability to do so. Again, giving you that 24/7, 365 appeal, which is also enterprise, by the way, guys. So that just adds to it. But then where the magic really happens and where it gets super fun for me, and I'm sorry if I'm monopolizing this whole deal, guys, is when you can start utilizing artificial intelligence. So I really want to get into that because that is huge. Every single person that is participating in this event today has had a conversation with Alexa, Siri, or Google at least one time in your life. I'm at the point where I'm doing that on a daily, okay, let's just hourly basis. I'm just going to let you know, as a consumer, if I can tell Alexa what I want on my grocery list and that somehow magically appears at my front door, guess what? That's some pretty powerful technology, and it's setting a different expectation for me as a consumer. Because for me, if I can do that, I have zero desire to go to the grocery store ever again. Let's just start with that.
Cathryn, I'm asking my phone what the temperature is outside instead of walking out onto my patio.
Another good one is
I'm
driving.
as bad as your 22-year-old.
But I don't even get in my car without asking Google where I'm going. I've become completely ignorant to driving. But I know that Google's going to tell me not only how to get there, but the best way, the fastest way to avoid the traffic, to avoid the stops. So why wouldn't I do that, right? So why I'm using these examples is to get you to some thought-provoking, I guess, conversation going with your business. If I have that level of expectation as a consumer, I have that level of expectation with everyone I do business with. And I don't know about everybody on the phone. I can speak for Ronnell a little bit, but I work 12 to 18 hours a day every single day. So if I can't pay my bill to you at midnight, I'm probably not going to do business with you. If I can't check the subscription that I have with your services on a Saturday at 2:30, probably not going to do business with you, simply because I just don't have the time. And I'm just a regular Joe, right? But if you take that approach and you look at that holistically, that's where we're all at. I mean, we're all in a different place where we're working 24/7, work hours, work-life balance, all of that fun stuff from the early millennial is no longer the case, right? We're all struggling for moments to survive, and we've got to adapt to this new norm that we're in. But that doesn't just mean us as consumers or me as an individual human. That's all of us. And more importantly, that's every business. So again, part of this conversation is really to get everybody to know and understand that we're not talking to a certain subsect of people. We're not talking to a certain size of business or a certain vertical of business. This is every business of every size across every single vertical that exists. So I'm going to take a breath.
Sure, no problem.
Kind of chime in. Sorry if I stole the stage for too long.
No, I love everything you're saying. And I just wanted to remind everybody, so there's an element here of sounding like an enterprise business yourself, but really just sounding like sounding in the right way that all of your clients are already going to start to expect, right? All consumers who are spending money at Target and in these stats are also the ones who are hiring lawyers or financial planners. That, people are the ones who are starting to have these expectations, and it is across the board people. And so sounding like an enterprise business yourself is one thing that's really important. But when you're thinking about this client journey, you have to also remember that when you are selling to an enterprise business or a bigger business or even a mid-sized business, you are trying to sell your services or your products to these businesses, you really are still talking to a person. It is a person in this business, and there's an element of determining who the decision maker is in that company. But that person also goes to Target. That person also gets text messages from their dentist and their doctor reminding them of appointments. That person expects to make a phone call and have it sound right and have it, you pick up the phone every single time. And so, when you're putting together your systems and thinking about how to really accelerate your own sound, even as a small business, and using technology to do that, don't forget that the journey that somebody is going on, that is a person, that is a person who has expectations and who is busy. If they're working for Nextiva, they're working 12 and 14 hours a day, and they really want to get to the point.
Yeah, I think the key in all of that, and what Cathryn had just said, is that the baseline has changed, and it is what it is. As I'm talking to different entrepreneurs and out there across the country, I think there's a lot of pushback. Like, part of what Cathryn just said was not sexy. It didn't sound fun. What do you mean 12, 14 hours? I have to give people whatever they want, whenever they need it. Listen, this is a reality. So you can either push against it and not go with it, or you can lean into it and make it work for you. which is part of the reason why we wanted to have this webinar, so that we could share some of this technology, because that's what's going to make it easier for you at the end of the day. You've got to lean into it, and you've got to leverage the tech that's out there, leverage the resources that are out there for small business. And the ones that are taking advantage of this sooner are the ones that are going to thrive. Because best believe it's happening, whether we want it to or not, it's happening. So lean into it. So I'm excited to hear and Kelsey, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about the Smith.ai solution for SMB, and how you can kind of help free up time, right? Because now that's what Cathryn just talked about. We always talked about time, like working 14, 15, 16, 17 hours, but you can leverage some tech and companies like Smith.ai and their and solutions like those to free up time for you and your staff to kind of bring some of the focus to some of the other things we're going to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the most important things when we're talking about this sort of communication with people who have expectations is, I know Cathryn said there's a lot of people in the future who want to text and want to talk to you on social media, but there are still a lot of people calling your business. There are people getting to your website. They don't want to figure out your prices. They want to talk to you right away. And so they're going to call you, especially those sort of older generations, maybe like older millennials and older than that. They're just like, oh, I want to get to the point. I want to call your business. And the fact of the matter is, the expectation there is that you're going to pick up the phone every single time. Nobody is hitting voicemail anymore. Nobody even leaves a voicemail anymore. I mean, maybe my mom does, but other than that, I haven't even gotten a voicemail other than from spam in forever. If they are finding your solution and they're calling you, then they are, and they're reaching a voicemail, then they're calling the next company down the Google list. If they're already a client and they're calling you and they're not reaching you and they're just reaching your voicemail, I mean, that's creating this sort of bad client experience for them. But mostly people just want to get their issue addressed. So what you can use virtual receptionists to do is to make sure that that call is answered, that that person answering is friendly, that that person answering can actually, the Smith.ai technology, when we onboard people to our platform, we will ask for a bunch of your information. And even if you are currently a Smith.ai client, make sure that our receptionists have a whole profile built out with, do people constantly ask the same questions? Give us the answers. And so our receptionist can say, this person's in court on Tuesdays. This firm, our consultation fees are $200 an hour. That kind of thing that can really address that question initially, so that you, as the professional, don't have to get on the line immediately. But you can really customize this, right? So if you do want to take some of your calls some of the time, you can set up these sort of schedules to where, or if you have like a in-house solution, if you've got somebody answering calls in-house, you can set up your schedule so that the receptionists only answer after hours and on the weekends. So you're still answering those calls, like Cathryn was saying, there are still people who are like, I just got done with my day. It's 9 p.m. I want to pay this bill. Or, I just got in a crash. I need a lawyer now, but it's like Saturday. There's still people who are going to be calling your business. And so providing this coverage on like a 24/7 basis is, really effective in order to create this super professional, super enterprise communication platform.
Kelsey, I think you made a tremendous point in that the human element is important. And that's one thing I don't want to get lost in this whole discussion is technology matters, right? But I'm a huge advocate of using technology to forge better and deeper, greater relationships, right? So whether that's business or personal. So in the business environment where we're talking about calls, people are still going to call, to your point. People are going to call. When they call, what happens when they call? Do they get a voicemail? Do they get you fumbling to pick your phone up and say, hey, or are they getting a professional answering on the other end where it sounds like an enterprise business. Because again, that's what, to Cathryn's point, that's where the expectation is now. The expectation is here. So if it's anything less than here, you're losing. So I love that. Cathryn, I want to bounce back to you real quick. And because I know we wanted to get into this AI, I'm excited about AI. So I know we wanted to get into AI a little bit. And by the way, again, I want to encourage you guys, if you have any questions, please pop those questions in there. We want to make sure that we're answering whatever questions that you have. Again, the topic of this is really how to leverage these enterprise tools for small to medium business and to win. So Kelsey just went through Smith.ai solution. I think that's a tremendous one, a tremendous solution for SMBs to really feel and sound like an enterprise. Cathryn, what's sexy over there with Nextiva and AI?
Oh, all right. So there, what I would suggest to every business is, number one, look at and think about your automation strategy. So to Ronnell's point, it's here, guys. The future is now. The whole thought process of robots is a reality. And to Ronnell's point, the quicker you adopt, the better off you're going to be. So my first suggestion,
Skynet won. Okay, it's done. Terminators are on the way.
Right. My first suggestion would be come up with an automation strategy. My second recommendation would be crawl, walk, run. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times as business owners, we see nice, big, shiny objects and we just want to gravitate toward it and we want to bite off the entire solution all at once. I would not recommend doing that. As a business owner, what I recommend doing is, again, creating a strategy around it and then have a phased approach into how you progress into the automation stack. So what I mean by that is, you've got Kelsey and you've got artificial receptionists. That's a whole one aspect of it, right? So now you have people that can come in and then they can be you when you're not available, or they can augment your customer experience so that you always have a live answer, a great response. Take that a step further and think about ways that you can automate things for your clients. And what I mean by that is self-service. So again, I talked about telling Alexa I need groceries. She somehow magically figures out how to get them delivered. We have the same level of technology at Nextiva that you can leverage as a business. And what I mean by that is, you can start to think about and create self-service applications for your clients so that your clients can do things like pay a bill at 2:30 in the morning. They can go in and they can do that with bot technology. Or maybe they want to call and check the status of an order. Or maybe they want to change the shipping address of an order. Or maybe they want to change the time of their appointment. Or maybe they want to transfer funds from this account to that account. All of those types of activities can be done 100% artificially. And I know that sounds super crazy. And some of you go, I hate those systems and I just want to hang up, or I hit 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Well, the truth is, guys, that technology has come so far. The point now where it's actually learning behavior. It's not just artificial. It's not just using your voice prompts to route you through a system, if you will. It's learning behavior. It's multilingual, speaks 135 languages in every dialect of every language. It has sentiment capabilities, so it can tell if you're angry or if you're not, and it can make decisions based on how you're communicating with it, or the things that you're saying, keywords that you're using. And so it becomes super, super powerful for that customer experience, because now I'm no longer calling in 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm saying things and I'm having an artificial conversation that's actually way more beneficial than I could have ever imagined, because this bot is telling me who I am, why I'm calling, the last time I called, do I want to talk to the same person that I talked to before, or am I just calling to update something in my account? And that to me is a great experience, right? That is what I'm searching for as a consumer. And I guarantee you every Gen Zer in this country is searching for as well, because that allows me to do those things in minutes. The truth is, nobody wants to sit on hold for 45 minutes to talk to somebody who's going to do something for them that they could have gotten done in the first 10 seconds they were on the phone. So as long as you start to think about tasks within your own operation that are considered mundane, repetitive, things that your humans could be better served doing what they were hired to do. I mean, I've had so many conversations with receptionists, for example, not to steal your thunder, Kelsey, but I have receptionists that say to me, if I have to give directions one more time, I'm going to lose it, because I was not hired to give people directions on how to get to my office. So using technology that can automatically figure out, oh, you're here. Okay, you're going to take the 10 freeway. You're going to get off at this landmine. You're going to turn left. That all can be done artificially without having to use a human. So those are the types of things that I really want people to start thinking about, because to Ronnell's point, it's here whether you like it or not. You're better off getting on board sooner rather than later. And if you're going to do it, again, go by my suggestion of crawl, walk, run. Expose yourself a little, and then by over time, get yourself to where you have a full automation plan.
So Cathryn, I love your what you just said, and it really ties into one of the questions that we have. We have a question from Marlon, and his question was regarding the human element. And his question was, how do you keep the human touch yet elevate your tech? And I love it, because what you guys just did was explain it, right? So in this scenario where Smith.ai and Nextiva just would work symbiotically, like the idea is not to take humans out of it. It's to serve people at a higher level. It's to create create the sort of customer experience that they want. So in that, and what the example that you use, Cathryn, we're using AI to take care of that simple stuff. Like, listen, if I just want to know the balance on something, I just want to change in my appointment to my dentist or whatever. That's where we're using that. And then when we trickle it through, we create an IVR tree that when we need a live operator, we've got that professional Smith.ai operator on the other line that's giving you the presence, that enterprise presence that you want to have. I think that is awesome. And I think that's a great way to use it. So we have a question from Jacqueline. And Jacqueline, this is a great question, because we throw it around all the time in tech, and we just assume everyone knows what we're talking about. The question is, can you define cloud? Who wants to take that?
Ooh, I'll take that all day long. So kind of like I talked about in the beginning, cloud is basically, if you just think about it as data that lives in the universe, right? It's just in the air, and you get it by connecting to it. So we use what's called IP, or internet. All of you've heard of internet, but by connecting via the internet, we have the ability to pull that information down. So whether that's pulling it to a computer, pulling it to a cell phone, pulling it to a tablet, but that basically just gives us unlimited storage of data and information. And once we've built that cloud, if you will, or put that data in that location, now, like I said, we can pull it down to different devices. We can pull it down to different instances or applications. And to what I was talking about earlier, that's how we can start using some artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is in the cloud, right? So that is basically just using bots or bot technology to analyze that data and utilize that data for efficiency purposes. So I'll give you a couple of examples just to get some clarity around this. So if I'm a consumer and I'm calling in, let's call it to my insurance company, and my insurance company can see when my call comes in what my phone number is. Right? Everybody knows what caller ID is. Everybody's caller ID is broadcast nationally at this point. So this bot can take that caller ID, and it can look in that cloud and say, where do I see this phone number somewhere else? And it's going to find that, oh, you have a record that has your name, and you have a 2-car insurance policy. You have umbrella coverage over your house. You have your premium is paid on a monthly basis, not in a 6-month increments, and your total amount that you pay per month is $229.07. So that bot, just by seeing my phone number, was able to surf that cloud and pull all that information back. So now that bot has that information, now I can do a lot of cool things, like ask the bot questions like, well, what is my policy number? Right? Or I can say to that bot, you know what? I need to add another car to my policy because you don't have one of my cars covered. Or I need to file a complaint. And I want to make sure that you know it's on vehicle A under this policy. So let's tie it all together. And that's really what a bot is tasked to do. It's tasked to bring all of that data together into such a format that as a consumer, I'm talking to somebody who's intelligent, even though it's a bot, who knows my name, knows my policy number, knows what my coverage is, knows how much money I pay every month. And then I can leverage that to do things like add to my policy. So now it has the ability to just add that in there as I speak it out. And now I have new coverage on a new, and guess what? You just sold something without having to talk to someone. That's where it gets super fun. But again, back to the cloud question, it's really just data being located in what we call a cloud. It's not a literal cloud in the sky, but it's basically data in the infrastructure of the world that you can pull down from the infrastructure of the world to your personal device or your personal instance. Hopefully that helped and didn't confuse.
I'll give you guys a real world cloud example.
There you go.
Okay, so how long was this? 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I owned and operated a contact center, and I purchased roughly $80,000 in servers from a company by the name of TouchStar, who was a call center, contact center company. And we put those servers in my office and we were off to go. And those servers were used for supporting a call center, right? Well, here in 2021, I can, for, I don't know, $1,500 a month, pay a subscription to Nextiva for those same type of services, much 10 times better than what we ever had back then. And I don't have any servers. I don't have any equipment. I don't maintain anything. All of that stuff is in data centers somewhere in wherever Cathryn puts her stuff, right? And through the cloud, that's how we access it. We access it through the internet. So we access those servers, and now we no longer need to have those servers on site. There's lots of different solutions that people use every day that are cloud-based solutions, like Microsoft 365 is a cloud-based solution. These are things that we used to have to install software on our laptops and our hard drives for, and we no longer have to. And so what that has done for the SMB, and why you guys should care a lot about that, is it's driven down the price. Now you can afford this stuff. Remember, I paid 80 grand for something now that you can get for a subscription of, I just threw that price out. What it actually is, I don't know. Maybe it's $1,000, but whatever. The bottom line is that it's a much smaller price, and it's something that SMB can access now that used to be only an enterprise level either product or service in most cases. Kelsey, anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just throw out one other kind of assimilation to the cloud, and that's this awesome company by the name of Netflix. This company changed video programming for life, and they are the cloud. So that is what the cloud version of movies looks like. So we used to go to, what was that place called? Blockbuster, I think. And we used to rent those tapes, and we had to like put them in a machine to watch them. That's kind of like old school communication where it's not cloud-based. Now it's cloud-based. So I turn on my computer and I can pull down any one of those movies from the cloud without having to go to Blockbuster. So that's just another analogy of what cloud is, but it should be impacting every piece of your business, not just communication. So Ronnell brought up Office 365. So using email from the cloud is a very popular thing right now, but so is SaaS in general. So having a CRM that's cloud-based that allows you to manage all of your clients in a single pane of glass, if you will. That's also a cloud technology that's very, very popular right now. And the truth is, as business owners, you should have a cloud strategy, just like an automation strategy, because that's really where the future is at. And of course, in our new climate, we don't have buildings anymore. We don't have offices anymore. So we don't have the liberty of doing what Ronnell did 15 years ago. Putting a server in a building is going to do you no good, because unless you're in that building, you can't use it. So that's another reason why cloud is so important and has really evolved in recent times.
Let's see if we got
Uh-oh, we're all getting dated here. That's all the comments I keep seeing. We're all old.
I liked your point about a CRM. This is something that is increasingly popular and available financially for smaller businesses. And it is, just to bring us back to the communication topic, it is something that is very, very crucial to provide a good experience for the people that you're talking to, right? Most of them are cloud-based. If you find one that's not, just walk away. I think we've hammered in that point, but it's basically a platform that allows you to log all of your communications with a client, right? So sometimes we talk to somebody and they're a new lead, and then you might not talk to them for 2 more weeks because they don't need your services yet, or if there's just a longer buying process, it takes them a while to go through their internal processes to get buy-in from the right people in their company. You might not talk to them for another month, and if you're anything like me, you're not going to remember that you talked about what their pain points are, why it is that they're hiring you in the first place, where they live. All of that kind of stuff can be logged in a CRM platform. And this is the kind of stuff that even if you have a receptionist service or you are working through a phone system platform like Nextiva, you can have things automatically sent to this CRM platform, so that when you go back, and this goes back to sort of having the human element that goes alongside the AI, when you go back to have that meaningful conversation, you do not have to backtrack. You don't have to annoy the person because they remember you probably. You just have a lot of people that you're talking to. You can get straight to the point. You can, come in where the conversation stopped the last time. And so this is, having a good CRM and using the automation parts of it, and also, a lot of the functionality of it, is a way that, we talk about the cloud and it's sort of this weird concept that you can't necessarily wrap your head around, but this is one of the ways that you can actually use all of those things to create a really good client experience. And I'll just mention that a really good client experience is one that your client doesn't notice. If you pick up the phone and already are taking off where you left off, and you don't have to recap, and you remember that they, mentioned to their cat, that is a really, really good client experience. And getting a CRM, which is now something that's very, very accessible to small and medium-sized businesses, and plugging it into your other communication platforms, is really a way to, use what we have nowadays and use the technology and sound big without having to spend big for it.
Love it. Hey, Jacqueline had a question that it's great. It's a great question. And I think that this is something that you should be thinking about, especially now where security is always it's a big deal, right? It's a big deal, right? And her question was, cloud, how secure is cloud? And Cathryn, I want to bounce this to you, but before you answer this, I want to say to Jacqueline, how secure do you think those servers were sitting in an HVAC closet in my office, as opposed to subscribing to this service from a company like Nextiva that has multi-million-dollar facilities that are climate controlled and have security up the wazoo, physical and data breach security, which Cathryn can kind of talk to. But that is a very valid, important question. But just, I want to take you guys back to the environment as an SMB that we were in prior to cloud applications being available to us. We were really susceptible back then. And I know whenever some sort of data breach happens, it gets all the news, right? And it's a big deal because that's the sort of culture that we live in, right? We get hyperbolic, and one thing happens and that means everything's bad. Not necessarily the case. Now, Cathryn, I'll bounce to you to address that question in terms of security. Is it safer?
Yeah. So you just hit the nail on the head. It is safer. It's a lot safer. But more importantly, there are rules and regulations around security that protect small business owners. So I want to start with that. Nextiva as a provider, we have rules and regulations that we have to put into play for your protection, whether you know you need them or you don't. So let's start with that. That's kind of your service carrier's responsibilities. But if you want to take that a step further, there are a lot of new things that have been added to this type of technology for security. For example, if you happen to be in the healthcare space, HIPAA compliancy is uber important, and we all know it. And there's lots of fear around security when it comes to HIPAA compliance. The truth is, we've been able to perfect our craft to where there are things like point-to-point encryption, meaning that that traffic is not translatable. So even if somebody were to be able to hack it or access it, it means nothing. It comes across in foreign language and binomial or letters and numbers that don't make sense, right? So there's ways that we've created protections around your data to make sure that your data is secure. So I would say that's number one. Number two, however, and probably more important than security, is redundancy. So one of the things that Ronnell talked about is his one server in his office didn't do him any good if he wasn't in that office. It was in a closet that wasn't climate controlled, collecting dust and God only knows what. But if that were to die, so would his phone service, right? So, and that's a bigger concern that I think all small businesses should consider. And that is, if you're not in the cloud, you don't have the redundancy or the replication of your system for somewhere to fall back on. And so if you happen to be, let's call it Florida, and there's a hurricane and your phone system is wiped out, in Nextiva's world, we've got 8 other places we can route your traffic across the country. So we're not stuck to Florida, and hopefully it's just affecting one area. I always like to say, though, if it's not, and all 8 of Nextiva's data centers, which are kind of circular around the country, go down, we have a much bigger problem than worrying about your phone system. But that's something that you don't get if you're using just an analog phone or a phone system that you have in your office. That's another real big advantage to the cloud. So I would be remiss not to mention that, Ronnell.
Agreed.
There was one other question that was asked, and before we run out of time, I have to plug Nextiva real quick on something. There's been several questions about, are you talking about Salesforce? Is Salesforce a CRM? Is Zoho a CRM? Yeah, those are all CRM platforms. Salesforce happens to be the powerhouse of the sales CRM world. But for a lot of small businesses, it's not affordable. I'm just going to be kind of the honest person here. What Nextiva has that's totally different, unique, and no one else in the marketplace has is we have the ability to incorporate CRM with our communication tool. What I mean by that is by purchasing the Nextiva NextOS platform, not only do you get all of the sophisticated functions of a phone system, so the ability to have a device anywhere in the world, get your calls anywhere you want, have sophisticated phone trees that make you sound bigger than life, all of those things are great. But included in our platform, we also have CRM functionality so that you can start to leverage our tools to gather client information, to make sure that you have all accurate information. When you do that, it creates things like a screen pop. So when a call comes in and the customer's record is found, it pops on your screen. So not only do I know who I'm talking to, but I've got the last 10 times somebody's interacted with them, how they felt about it, what their interaction was. And I can go into that conversation a lot more educated, to Kelsey's point. So I did want to just plug real quick, if you're looking for a solution that includes that CRM piece, maybe you're using QuickBooks or spreadsheets as your kind of customer management today, think about Nextiva as a solution. $30 all in, including your voice per user, you get CRM, which is kind of unheard of in our industry right now in terms of a rate. And I hate to throw rates out there, but I want to be very clear. If that is you, let us know. We'd be happy to supply that with you, because having a CRM is very important.
That's a great lead into introducing Jamel at this point. So I want to go ahead. We've got Jamel on the webinar today, who is a Nextiva channel manager. And for those of you that have interest in looking at some of these Nextiva solutions, he's going to be your guy. So I want to go ahead and introduce Jamel and let him tell you guys how you can reach out and connect with him. Jamel.
Thanks, Ronnell. Yeah, this is Jamel Pearson here. I'm channel manager here with Nextiva. So basically what we can do is once we get an idea of who we have on the call today, I'll be reaching out directly. to you guys to just introduce myself, make sure you have my contact information. We could do some quick demos, whatever we need to do to earn your business. That's what I'm here for. So appreciate that, Ronnell.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And Kelsey, as far as a Smith.ai solution, who do we reach out to? How do we take advantage of this great service where we're leveraging tech and sounding like an enterprise, but being an SMB?
Well, you can, I will also send an email out after this webinar with a recording of it. If you have any more questions or want me to go into anything else, just email me back and I'll reach out to you and I can answer any questions. I'm actually a technology expert for small and medium-sized businesses. So I don't just know about Smith.ai itself, but also how you can incorporate it with a CRM, with a scheduling platform, with a payment platform, sort of do that crawl, walk, run thing that Cathryn was talking about. See where you can start and where you can really take it. But you can also just head to smith.ai and sign up and or get a free consultation and figure out what it is that you can solve in your business with our services. If you do, use the code Nextiva for $100 off your first month. And yeah, you don't have to, you should be a Nextiva customer, but you don't have to. Just if you attended this webinar or watched this video, go ahead and do that. And yeah, we want to solve some problems for you. And so reach out and let us help you figure out how.
Well, as we start to close here, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys, the audience, for spending some time with us this afternoon. For those of you that are watching this video and recording, thank you for giving us some time out of your day. We greatly appreciate it. And I want to thank Kelsey and Cathryn. You guys make me smarter just being virtually on the same Zoom as you. So I really appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time to share this great knowledge that you guys have. And if you're not connected to Cathryn and Kelsey or myself, connect to us. Connect to us. You have some questions. I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm super passionate about business, super passionate about tech and sales, and leveraging this great technology to provide, again, better outcomes for our customers and to sell more. Let me make sure I didn't miss any last questions before we wrap. All right, Marlon says we made him smarter. That's a win.
Thank you very much for hosting, Ronnell. It was really wonderful to have you on. I know you do a series on your own that involves more alcohol than this does. So make sure everybody, if you connect with Ronnell, and get signed up for one of his events, it's definitely a lot of fun, I'm sure.
It is, and thank you for that. Again, thank you all for joining, and have a great rest of your day.